Facebook, YouTube. I hope you're doing well. So this is a very fresh conversation. Make sure my mic is on. I think it's on. No, it's not. That's always a good idea to check if your microphone is working or plugged in, which is not. So welcome to self-filming. Okay, check in. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Hello, folks. Good afternoon. I'm Stephen Farhay, the founder of Healthy Secrets. Yeah, I made a mistake here. Sharing the secrets for women. I've got to take that logo down, so it's got to be redone. But let's slowly but surely just warm up the seat. Really, how do you know if it's a good business idea? This is based on the Diary of CEO's release today, which is really good. I've only watched literally 10 minutes of it, and I've almost filled up my notepad on one page. I've executed my waiting list for social media marketing app, which you can find on my profile. Should have really put a link in the description, but I'll have to do it at another stage. But yeah, I just want to welcome folks that watch this afterwards. There won't be that many viewers because I don't tend to announce my lives because I don't know what I'm going to talk about from 1 week to the next. I only go live once per week. But I thought this was being a former business studies teacher, being a budding entrepreneur. I would no way say I'm a successful entrepreneur, not just yet. I've got success in the brand logo, kind of the feel of it, my thought leadership for the last 5 years. Even though I've not got a strong book out, for me, the data has convinced me that I've put enough good content out there to help businesses with their emotional intelligence and also more recently social media marketing, because the newsletter, even though it's not got like 1 million subscribers, the feedback that I get and the conversations that I have when I do release each episode of the newsletter here on LinkedIn is very good. So thank you for those that subscribe to my or any of my newsletters. I think I've got 3 active, but 2 strong ones. One's empathy leadership, and the other one is social media marketing. So if you want to subscribe to those, check out up on my featured list. They're there for you. So yeah, this is an important conversation because I just done my waiting list because I've got a few projects that are building on already quite early from Healthy Secrets, and I think that's one of my problems. Excuse me. When I'm an entrepreneur, like because I'm so creative, I've got these ideas that I'm focusing more on revenue models. I'm trying to dial down on that. That's really important at the moment. But I tend to get carried away with, okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. Like, for instance, Healthy Secrets, building a clothing range on TikTok Shop is a lot harder than what I thought. And I haven't really got the time. I have to focus on my viral courses, which are going to be sold on TikTok. And TikTok at the moment this is just my journey in entrepreneurship. And where I think it's a good idea, not from just a waiting list, which I haven't done for these courses because I've gone viral before on the promotions, and TikTok are actually redoing the platform, the series part of it, so you can publish courses, which I've got access to as a creator. So for me, how do I know if it's a good business idea? It's based on data, and I think if you watch a Diary CEO today's episode, you'll get a lot of better insights from what I can deliver to you. But I just wanted to come on live quickly to encourage people to do that, because I think, and I've reached out to connect with this chap who's exceptionally good at giving entrepreneurship set up multiple businesses. And I think that's what I love about, I must give him a shout out, not that he needs it. I need to just quickly check this guy's name. He's on LinkedIn, Daniel Priestley, if I pronounce his surname correctly. I do recommend you check out his LinkedIn profile, because what I love about it is that he shares a lot more better than what I do the resources. That's why I love writing on LinkedIn, because I like to share my resources, and I think that's important. When I was a teacher, I'd always used to kind of share my resources. What I learn up here, that's my draft, all my books there. I mean, I've got more over there that goes in here. Then I put all the resources to come and here on LinkedIn. That's what I do. That's my thought leadership. It's a simple process. I love doing that. I love writing. And I'm going slowly through this marketing book. But back to the conversation, how do you know if it's a good business idea? It's testing, as David says. Testing upon, like, you're a scientist and you're doing an experiment, as stated in the podcast. For me, I've just been keeping experimenting and flipping it over and over until I get from I need to do this. I haven't got it up there, but it's over there. Quoting the thing from the one thing, which is before, because I used to go, ooh, get carried away. What is a good business idea? Dialing down on things, doing less but more. So you focus on the one thing that's going to elevate your business model. And you don't know what your business model is going to be like until you keep dialing down until you get to that one thing. How do you do that? Well, a waiting list is a good way to start. I've just set mine up for my app, and the app is really a really massive project, and I can't do it on my own. I know that for sure, but it's designed to help marketeers. So feedback from a year, 2 years ago, different parts was good, but I don't have all the resources. So I've done the waiting list. I've put that out there to see what people, if they sign up. It's only just one LinkedIn post and they can sign up to that. But I think this particular episode of the Diary CVO is really, really good. Check it out. I'll try to put a link in after this talk. It's not even a talk, it's just really a heads up, pointing you in the right direction. I don't think enough of us are doing that here on LinkedIn, minus Dave calls. Sometimes we can have the best ideas in the world if you want to start a business, but if you're a guy like me, sometimes I felt the last year, 2 years, I've been a bit like this, my health. But then when I got dialed down to it, and just focus on that one thing that matters, and it is hard to get to that one thing, but a waiting list gets you to that point where, okay, you can ask the right questions, get your market research going, and then dial down on the things that people think, oh, I would pay for this. Sounds like a good service. Set up your waiting list and get people to sign up, and then do some more market researching to the capability, for instance, you have as an entrepreneur to make that business. So I'm not a code writer, and that's what's good about that episode, that he celebrated and done the same thing on his LinkedIn profile. He was able to set up a waiting list, raise the capital, no code written, just an idea. Watch the show; it's really good. I'm only 10 or 15 minutes in. I can't have to rewind it and making notes so I can effectively use that framework myself, which is really good. So I'm not going to talk long, guys, but I just wanted to come on live quickly. I only come on here once per week now because working smarter is better. And I think, when you've got a good business idea, when you start relaxing more, for 5 years, I think first 2 years, I was getting into more of the thought leadership here on LinkedIn, building up my personal brand, which David does talk about as well, which was excellent. I went viral a lot. I built up a News for You brand, which is a humble media company. Wasn't really doing anything, but it was going viral a lot. It was just news sharing. That's all it was. And then, as we know, algorithms change. Sometimes it can kill your business model, I argue. And then now I've developed Health Secrets, which is only formed in the last couple of months, which really is all my research and knowledge and skills that I've learned and put it into one brand, and then trying to scale that up through different revenue models, series on TikTok, clothing shop on TikTok, the app, which is a long way away, but it's in the pipeline. It needs resources, it needs creativity, it needs innovation. Is it a good business idea? It solves a problem, but I still want to test it to the market data. So I don't want to just build something, even if I've got the capital to do it, if I've not listened to the data. If 100, 3,000 people tell me they want the app built, that's a good indication. If 1,000 people tell me they want the app built, that's a good indication. But I think sometimes we all get carried away with an idea and you won't know until you test it. As David says, test it through cheap and fast means, and one of the best means. And even Elon Musk has used waiting lists, as quoted in the show, which is really good. Really, I don't know why I never thought about this before. But then, having said that, if people don't sign up for a waiting list, it doesn't mean that it's not a good business idea. But you need to test it somehow. And I think at least with a waiting list, you can ask the questions on top of that. So just a landing page, check out my LinkedIn profile. I've just done one, literally free service. I got a free trial. There's loads of different platforms out there you can use, but I think getting back to the first 10 minutes of that show, and I've written my notes here. Sharpen the idea to market, which David talks about. So if you've got a business idea and you think, oh, do you think it's a good idea? Will it make money? You won't know until you test it against the market data, whether you go out and do primary research, you ask customers, or you look at secondary data. But you have to find a way of sub-testing your business model and getting feedback from people. But then I think I see this a lot when I was a teacher. A lot of people ask me, how do I start a business? How do I build a brand? All that stuff. For my students, more so. Otherwise, you've got to solve a problem like anything. But then also, you've got to find the skill set that you have as a person, what you're good at, and trying to match that to the market data. So, if your skill set, for me, my research is mental health, that's a good product market fit per se. At the moment, with the new mental health pandemic, people are suffering depression, stress more now than ever. So, the kind of products I'm building now, which is the scalable series or courses on TikTok, to be sold at viral, numbers, because there's a lot of Generation Z people on TikTok. That's a good fit for me, and it works out because I'm a former teacher. I'm very used to designing courses, so I've got expertise in that area. So I'd always say this to anyone on top of um, this podcast and the podcast that I'm recommending you today to watch, if you want to start a business and you want to get down to the proper business model. And I wish I had this lesson 2 years ago, but better late than never, as they say. We learn as an entrepreneur, you learn so much through the bad and negative times that you experience. Certainly, me, it's been a learning curve for many different reasons. I've had health battles last year. I'm doing better now, and I think the stress levels you go through as an entrepreneur, budding entrepreneur, I call it, because you're not really a successful entrepreneur until you've got a customer and a working business. And I'm not on that mark yet, but I think I've got the workings for it. It looks like on paper and the data that it's all viable. And the brand Healthy Secrets is only 2 months old, thereabouts. We're going into our third month, and I'm doing it all my own. Is it scalable? Yes, I'm eyeing it out for that. When I say scalable, that used to confuse me when people like Gary Vee say it's scalable. A business is scalable when you think you can create a viral marketing kind of capability to both the product you're offering to mass people, mass marketing, another word for it is, and also the capabilities that you have to back that up. So it's like toothpaste is a mass marketing product. It's scalable when it first came out because people need to brush their teeth. In terms of mental health, my series, there's a pandemic. Every 40 seconds, somebody sadly takes their life in suicide rates globally. So there is a demand for good education around mental being, how to look after our emotions. And the fact is that I've gone viral before on TikTok, offering that same kind of concept, shows and demonstrates to me that I can do what I'm saying that I want to do. So I'm not just plucking figures out of my ear based on historical marketing data, as in social media marketing. I'm convinced that this can be done. And like I said, I'm just waiting for TikTok to finish the new revamped series platform. And maybe even, who knows, I wouldn't underestimate the power of social, never, to rival other big learning platforms, even just me on my own, because the capabilities I have to design quick, fast, easy, affordable courses, which is part of the Healthy Secrets brand, to lower global suicide. We need education. We need to bring down the cost of education. So for me, that all points towards knowing that my business idea is a good idea because the market needs it, and the monetization will kick in. I've only just started putting down the foundations the last 2 months, and sometimes you've got to go down the long way. I think I've taken a long road, I'll be honest, to build this brand, for sure. But then it's backed up by expertise from me, which has got a global footprint. So here on LinkedIn, my presence is good, my content is good. How do I know it's good? Because feedback, comments, and I think people that start a business and they ask themselves, is it a good idea? If you're starting from scratch and you've got no social media presence, it's more harder, but some of the world's biggest brands have started that way where social wasn't around those years ago. So they wanted to create something like Bill Gates on Microsoft. And, you look at Apple and the way that it was born, both brands, from hardware and software. Anything's doable, even if a challenging market that we're in now globally. And yes, I know that in the UK we don't necessarily get that much good funding, seed funding per se for entrepreneurs. But you need to be positive if you believe, and it's not just about passion. I think for me, this is my own personal perspective. A lot of people get carried away with passion and they think that passion drives their own business idea. It does to a certain degree, but you've got to look at the business model and the science of, can your business survive in the current climate? What's the value proposition? What is the customer gonna pay? Can they afford it? Will they pay it? So there's a lot of work around there on brand equity, which I've been speaking and writing about a lot recently in my newsletters. And it's all difficult. There's a lot of moves. And as an entrepreneur myself, budding entrepreneur, but then you're going to hit burnout. I've hit burnout several times. But I've come to a point this year where I feel I've got a bit more of an even balance. I'm not bursting out doing hours and hours of anything. I'm slowing down a lot more and relaxing more and just doing the things that matter and getting that thing down to one thing and keep doing everything until I get down to smaller components to the one thing that matters, whatever that is in my business. I won't know what that one thing is, and you won't know until you look at if I write by this from the book, not your to-do list, scrap to-do lists and job lists, scrap that, chuck that, and write a should list. I should do this because it's going to get me this. So those revenue models, I've got my clothing store, the app, but the most important thing for me is selling courses on TikTok because they're quick, easy, viral, going to make me good revenue. So that's a focus point. So when it's up and running, I need to go fast into that. That's the one thing I need to focus on and make that my number one priority for my revenue, because otherwise I haven't got a business. So I've got a brand, but it's not funded yet by a good working business model. And I think a lot of people fall down in that area. I know I did at the start. It's starting to work. And when the sales come through, hopefully they will, then I'll be even more happy and convinced that I can push Healthy Secrets as far as it needs to go to help lower global suicide. Anyway, I'm going to end it there. I've spoken long enough and deep enough. And those of you who watch this on the rerun, there should be some more links in the box to the Diary CEO podcast, which this episode I've done today is based on this question. And that's it really from me, apart from good luck in your business venture. Connect with me here on LinkedIn. Apart from that, it's, adios amigos. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye for now.